The Department of Homeland Security employs almost 240,000 employees located in every state of the Union and over 75 foreign countries. DHS employees are on the front lines each day. They secure our land, air, and maritime borders, enforce our immigration laws, safeguard critical infrastructure and cyberspace, and respond to natural disasters. I understand that today's hearing is to consider whether vacancies in senior-level positions at the Department affect the morale and effectiveness of the Department's mission. Before I continue, allow me to provide some context for the hearing. The majority says that 40% of the leadership positions at DHS are vacant. According to statute, there are 28 positions within the department that require presidential appointment and Senate confirmation. Of those 28 positions, about 15 are filled with an official who is serving in an acting capacity. Only one position is listed as vacant. So as it turns out, that 40% represents very small numbers of people. It is difficult to understand how the morale of almost 240,000 people would be adversely affected by whether 15 people at headquarters have the word acting listed in their titles. Those officials who are listed as acting are still empowered and expected to do their jobs, implement orders, and carry out the normal functions of the position. As we consider the morale and mission effectiveness of these nearly 240,000 employees, we should consider the factors that have a real and direct effect on their day-to-day lives and therefore may affect morale and mission. Furthermore, as we consider the morale of the department's employees, we need to acknowledge that in every survey on workplace satisfaction conducted by every organization inside or outside of the government, the department has always ranked at or near the bottom. The department has been at or near last place since the day it was established. It was at or near last place in employee morale under Secretaries Ridge, Chertoff, and Napolitano. Consistent dysfunction is an indication of a structural issue, not an indication of a momentary problem. Fortunately, this committee has a long history of oversight and management and administration of the department. Our oversight has shown that DHS suffers from a disjointed organizational structure and that employee morale is adversely affected by the uncertainty that comes from that disjointed structure. The department's organizational structure leaves the officials at headquarters with little authority and leaves the employees in the field with little hope. Headquarters officials may issue management directives, but they do not have a mechanism to enforce those directives. Meanwhile, the employees have few places to turn. Mr. Chairman, if we want to positively affect the morale and mission effectiveness of the employees at the department, we should pay less attention to the acting status of particular officials and more attention to the power of the officials to act. The organizational structure of this department, which only can change, prevents headquarters officials from requiring uniformity, transparency, and accountability in procurement, personnel practices, and disciplinary processes used in the component. If we want to assure that morale and mission effectiveness improve, we should use our legislative authority to act by assuring uniformity in the rules, standards, and practices used by the department. These rules, standards, and practices directly affect the everyday lives of nearly 240,000 people. To that end, I would suggest that the Chair press his leadership to assure floor action on the Homeland Security Authorization Act that this committee ordered reported in October. This measure has yet to be considered by the House. It contains a Democratic-sponsored provision that would strengthen the authority of those officials in headquarters to require uniformity, transparency, and accountability in employment practices. This would be the kind of change that would help the morale of these employees. I have a great respect for the employees of the department. Day after day, they go to work, fulfill their mission, and protect this nation. They knowingly walk into a workplace where few people are happy. Yet, the Office of Personnel Management found that over 87% of these employees believe that the work they do is important. These employees should be able to look to Congress for solutions and support. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I wrote you requesting that we have a representative from the department to discuss their efforts to improve workplace morale. Your response indicated that a witness from DHS would not be necessary because there is little connection to DHS as a source of the leadership vacancy problem. I agree that the source of the vacancy problem at DHS is not within the department. All indications are that the source of the vacancy problem at DHS and other federal departments is the Republican minority in the Senate who have used the constitutional duty to advise and consent as an excuse to obstruct and deny. Clearly, with the removal of the filibuster weapon for certain appointments, we are finally seeing movement on the President's nomination. I hope you join me in looking forward to the approval of Mr. Johnson to lead the Department of Homeland Security. You've already indicated in your opening statement that Mr. Johnson has assured you that. When Mr. Johnson becomes Secretary Johnson, I hope this committee will work with him to resolve the employee morale and vacancy issue at the department. In the meantime, this House should use its power to give the department the necessary resources and legislative authority to achieve the goal of improving employee morale at DHS. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.